Welcome, and thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Greg Nelson. I'm a sales coach, sales trainer, and I'm also a licensee for Grant Cardone. I wanted to come to and talk to you today about the topic of closing the sale, closing the deal, and how important it is in order for you to advance to the next level in your life. Not only the next level in your life, but the next level in your selling career. And by the way, we all sell something, whether it's an idea, an opinion, or a product or a service. In one way or one shape or one form, we all are born salespeople. And I'm going to go through this topic of closing other people on your opinions, your ideas, and maybe the product or service that you're trying to sell to your potential customer. And so, um, gosh, I got to tell you, I've been in automotive sales. I've been a sales professional for about 20 years now. And gosh, it was probably about 10 years ago, a decade now ago. I remember this one day in particular. I was walking into a sales meeting while taking a look at my weekly paycheck. I sat down in my chair and my face turned bright red. I slumped down trying to hide. I was thinking about my kids and thinking about how I was going to keep the lights on. And then I heard it. Hey, Greg, I was being called out by the sales manager to tell the entire department how many sales I had for the month, or more like didn't have. I was embarrassed. I was demotivated, and my performance for the rest of the weekend was shot. And then when I got home that evening, my wife had told me our water had been turned off. And so, if you're like me or like I was back then, and you're currently going through this hard knock state, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and 76% of us are, I would encourage you to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and take notes of what we're going to cover tonight, because this is truly the difference between those who have and those who have not in their life. And it's all possible through a man named Grant Cardone. And if you don't know who Grant Cardone is, he has been a sales professional himself for over 40 years. He's uh, he owns seven plus privately held companies doing well in excess of over $200 million a year. He's the best-selling author of several books, and he's the star of the TV show called The Turnaround King, and also Undercover Billionaire Season 2. He's a writer and contributor on most major news cable channels and business publications. He holds billions, over $2 billion in real estate assets. And this material that we're going to cover, Grant has been using this and teaching this, and still to this day. And he's been doing it for over 40 years. And so, again, my name is Greg Nelson. I own a company called thehardknockstate.com. And we are a sales training, sales coaching company. Before we get into this Grant's material here, I do want to know if you're currently in sales, or maybe you're thinking about getting into sales. But if you're in sales and you're going along in your career and in your job, and you feel like you kind of hit a rut, you feel like you're pressing on the accelerator, but it's not quite touching the floor, I got to tell you, I can help you with that. With my experience and Grant's sales training material, we can get you back on track and get you to becoming selling at a point that you've never sold before. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make top producers out of the new hires, out of the average skilled level sales associate, and those veterans who've been doing it a while, just quite honestly, maybe have fallen into that rut. I got with my automotive sales training profession that I went through for over 20 years, over a half a decade of that, in the past half of a decade or so, a little bit longer. I was saddled with the task of training and coaching new sales associates, average skill level sales associates, and even top performers on how they could sell more, how they could sell consistently, and how they can earn more on each paycheck. And a large part of that training was due to follow up and closing abilities. And so if you are in this rut and you're looking for a way to move forward right now through January 31st, I have a 12-month training program going on for $19.97. It's $1,000 off. And with that, you're going to get 12 months access to Cardone University. And that's, if you haven't heard of it before, you've probably been sleeping under a rock. But Cardone University is the #1 online business and sales training platform in the world. They have over 800 courses with this access. And with that, you will learn topics such as closing and negotiations, cold calling, prospecting. You'll learn how to get attention in the market and much more. Companies as large as Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, Audible, BMW, Ashley Furniture, Honda, Ford, Chrysler, heck, even the U.S. Army has or still does train their people on this platform. And to date, there's been over 1 billion courses taken, and there's over 400,000 active users worldwide. And so what these modules are, these segments that you go through with Cardone University, is they're small, bite-sized courses that are anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes long. And the idea is to watch 2 to 4 of these every morning, and then head on off to work. Once you get to work, start implementing that material that you've learned. The beautiful thing is that the videos are just right to that point where it's enough information to where it's compact, it's concise, it's enough information for you to store in your mind freshly without getting bored of looking at the screen or hearing an instructor just talk. And so by doing 2 to 4 of those segments, you're going to learn all 2 to 4 of those segments. They're going to be fresh in your mind. You're going to go implement that. And then in addition, you'll also have access to our 4 months of weekly group training. And that's 16 individual sessions once every single week. And with that, we go over Grant Cardone's 10X sales professional courses, and there's 9 of them. And so all that is on sale through January 31st for $19.97. So this material that we're covering tonight is through Closer Survival Guide. So what is closing? Closing is the final step in the pursuit of any goal. Closing is a skill that applies to every person. Closing is what separates those who have from those who don't have. And closing is what's required to ensure you get what you want in life. This one skill called the close separates those who have from those who don't have. The goal of this material that we're covering right now is for you to become a master and an art at negotiating and closing transactions of any kind. This guide will show you how to get your way in life. You'll learn how to make logical sense of every situation you encounter in any type of negotiation. Life is about negotiating. Remember, your life, your job, and your results depend on your ability to close the deal. That is a direct quote from GC himself. The end game is the close. The end game is where negotiations become actionable agreements, referred to as the close. Closing is critical to bring about change. Closing is critical to deliver on production. And closing is critical to survival and to make things happen. The only reason why a person fails in life is the inability to close others on providing resources, energy, money, support, or whatever it is they need in order to achieve what it is that they want. And that right there, Grant is directly responsible for that quote. And once again, it's the only reason a person fails in life is the inability to close others on providing resources, energy, money, support, or whatever it is they need in order to achieve what they want in life. The critical exchange point. The close is the critical exchange point when a transfer from one person occurs. The close is that specific moment when you acquire an agreement, all parties take action, and things of value are exchanged. Until the close takes place, there is no real value in what has preceded. So one of the facts I have here is not closing means no real value has been exchanged. And no close, no exchange, no real value. The exchange. You only create value when you get an exchange. Nothing actually happens until an exchange happens. You must get an exchange in order to create value. There must be an agreement to transfer resources and actions taken between both parties for any real value to occur. To sell or to close, it doesn't matter how good the presentation is, you still need to close for the exchange. The creation of an economy. In exchange for the close, you will get something you want. Thus, the close becomes the creation of an economy. If you learn how to close, you can create the economy that you desire. What is the winner's exchange? The winner's exchange is when a person you close perceives the value received was greater than the value they've given. So the value that you delivered in that product or that service, they felt that was worth more than the money that they paid you for it. Deliver, and you will be able to repeat the winner's exchange over and over again. The goal of the closer. The ultimate goal is to finish the transaction. If you don't know how to close, you'll never create the economy that you truly want. Know or know. You need to know. K-N-O-W. N-O, know, is what you get without the K from knowledge and the W from wisdom. If you close or lose, a salesperson is only paid when he is able to close the transaction and consummate an exchange. Remove the first letter C from the word close, and you end up with the word lose. If you can't close others on your ideas, you do lose. Ability to ability. It is crucial that you develop the ability to bring your prospect to a positive decision. Those who know how to get the close will be able to predict their incomes. And that's where consistency takes place. Grant says, there is no shortage of opportunity. There's just an abundance of opportunities not taken advantage of because the individual was not prepared to take it all the way and close the deal. Add knowledge to fire like you would wood to a fire, and sooner or later, you'll achieve your dreams. Learning from experience is expensive. Observe and create experiences so you can learn how to handle situations beforehand. Learning only from experiences results in extreme transactional losses. Success really should be dependable. If you can't predict and depend on your success, then you can't call it a success. Fear is an indicator that you don't know something. Results can never be justified or made easier to accept because they are someone else's fault. Even if the results you are getting are someone else's fault, the reality is they will not improve until you do something. You cannot wait for others to make a change when you won't do it yourself. The science of the close. Closing is a deal. Closing the deal is an art and a science. There are actual techniques and strategies for closing the deal. We go over those techniques and strategies during my 12-month training program called the Complete Sales Mastery. And again, that's 12 months of Cardone University, 12-month access to over 800 courses of Cardone University, and 4 months of 16 sessions of weekly group training sessions where we go over Grant Cardone's 10X sales professional courses. Again, it's on sale through January 31st. You can never improve any condition in life without learning. Ridicule is a good indicator. Ridicule by others is often a good indicator that you're doing something right. The C in the close. C in the close could stand for commitment, the state, or instance of an emotionally being emotionally impelled. The C in the close could stand for commitment, the state, or instance of being emotionally impelled. The C could stand for consistency, as that what it takes to achieve higher closing rates. The C in the close can stand for a can-do attitude that is vital to making things go right. The harsh reality is you close or you lose. There is no middle ground. There is no cost to the salesperson greater than the loss of the deal. None. No one wins when you don't close. Losing the deal has devastating results as it fuels uncertainty, insecurity, doubt, fear, loss of hope, and ultimately more lost sales. Dreams don't require dreamers. Dreams require closers. And we've all heard Grant say that before. The make break point. This is the point in the close, is the point when it becomes time to ask for someone to take action. So this is the make break point. You've demonstrated your product, you've written, shown the written proposal, and now it's time for your customer to make a decision. This is the time for them to take action. Closing, remember, closing is a service, and you're aiding someone in making that in a decision. And if you're selling large ticket items, that's a very big and hard decision for them to go through. You need to be of a service, find a way you can help them through and make that decision versus pushing them or pounding them into making a decision. Because service is and always will be senior to sales. Closing or relationship or close. The relationship by itself will not determine the close. If the trick was just to be nice, most of the world would be doing great. Have you ever heard of the 20-80 rule? Closing is a skill that represents only about 20% of your selling time and 100% of the money. The number one reason the close is never made is because the close was never attempted. You know, Grant, a while back, they surveyed over 1,000 different shoppers. And you know that only 37% of those shoppers were shown a price or shown a written proposal. And so 63% of buyers entered into a shopping arena, entered into a store, a sales organization, and then left empty-handed. 63% left empty-handed. And so this just goes to show you it's the 20-80 rule. The number two reason people don't close a deal is because the salesperson doesn't have a large enough arsenal of closes. Most sales operate on 2 or 3, and then they start repeating themselves like a broken record. In short, to close a sale, the buyer must, in short, to close the sale, the buyer must, number one, what you are presenting and want it, trust you, 3, be the decision maker, and 4, have the wherewithal to pay for the product. Got hung up there on number 1. Grant, my definition of closing, a service to exchange something of value with something of value. 10 reasons why closers fail. Number 1, the close is never attempted. 2, pressure is perceived as a bad thing. 3, the unwillingness to close with emotions, or the unwillingness to deal with emotions, excuse me. Number 4, a lack in belief in the product. Number 5, an incorrect estimation of effort. Number 6, being reasonable. Number 7, having no financial plan in place. Number 8, handling objections that are only complaints. Number 9, a shortage of closing material. Then number 10, the incorrect barrier. The rules. Number 1, always be seated when negotiating and closing. Standing up shows signs that you are about ready to leave. You're just going to drop some paperwork on the table and hit the road. You're going back to your sales desk. So always be seated when you're negotiating and closing. Number 2, always present your proposal in writing. To just give remember, we want to provide third-party data. We want to provide written material as much as possible. And because people believe what they see, not what they hear. And so if you're just making a verbal proposal, they're going to take that with a grain of salt. Make sure you always put a written proposal in front of each customer that comes into your store, regardless of whether they're there to make a decision to make a purchase today or not. And so always put a written proposal in front of a customer. Number 3, always clearly communicate your proposal. And always break it down so it's transparent, so the buyer can understand exactly what they're engaging in. Number 4, always make eye contact. That's so important, and it's a lost art today. Number 5, always have a pen available for signing. Grant calls this is like being a warrior and going into battle without your sword. If you're a salesperson, your pen is your sword, and you wouldn't go into battle without it. So never go anywhere without a pen. Always have a pen available for signing. And it would be a good backup pen. Another one you can keep in your spare pocket. Number 6, know how to use humor to relieve pressure. Humor shouldn't be off color, shouldn't be made to poke fun at somebody else's expense. But using humor in the right places will relieve pressure in ways that you don't even understand. When people laugh and people are in a good mood, their endorphins start flowing. And when that happens, it becomes easier for them to make decisions. When people are stressed, tensed, and tight, they're squeezed, everything is blocked off. It is much harder for an individual, for a human being, to make a decision on anything at that period of time. So know when to use humor, because it will save you. Number 7, always ask one more time. And what is always ask one more time? It means always ask one more time. And I love this. I love always asking one more time, over and over and over again. Because if they don't tell us exactly the reason, and they leave our establishment, they leave our showroom, our store, or our office, and they haven't explained or told us the reason why they're leaving, that right there, that is an unsolved mystery, and that's a very hard objection to overcome. And so it could take you another 5 to 8 attempts of follow-up in order to undercover what that objection is. So if we can always ask for one more time, let's hypothetically say you're at the closing table and you're selling an RV and you have the written proposal in front of them. They love the RV that you're selling them. They think it's the cat's meow. In fact, you've overheard them talking about all the great trips they're going to take. And they even told you, they send a picture with the RV right in front or behind Mount Rushmore. And oh my gosh, but now it's come down to do or don't time. And so they decide to wait. They decide to move, just go home and sleep on it. After all, it has a really big purchase, and they've only been considering getting an RV and shopping RV dealers for the past 6 months. So what's another night to them? And so they go home, they're walking out the door. You could do the photocopier close. And then that's when you go, hey folks, hey, let me, before you leave, let me make sure I get you a copy of this so you have the information to review when you're talking about it tonight. And so you go to the copy, you make a copy, you bring the copy back. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you know what, gosh, I was really thinking, hey, I can't believe you would come in on a Saturday, waste a Saturday after shopping for RVs for 6 months, and after looking at this individual RV for the past 3 weeks. I can't believe we've come all the way down to this point where you would come in just for a copy of my written proposal. Uh, are you sure it's not the price? Is it something I did? Is it something that the RV is missing? Uh, is there anything I could do, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, to where you wouldn't have to go home and keep pondering on this and keep thinking about it and taking a chance that there may be somebody else, another salesperson might be working with who could come in and buy that RV? Please, is there anything we could do for you? And so if you keep asking one more time, you will dramatically increase your chances of being able to sell and being able to close the deal. The rules. Number 8, always have an available arsenal of closes so you don't repeat yourself. Sounding like a broken record is disastrous. It's devastating to the salesperson. And right then and there, once you start repeating the same close 2 or 3 times, pretty much the customer is done. Unless you can come up with something magical, you can wave that magical wand or pull the rabbit out of the hat, the customer is probably going to go home and think about it. So make sure that you have an arsenal, an absolute arsenal of closes. This closing material that we're going over tonight all comes from this book, The Closer's Survival Guide. Look at that. There's well over 100. The first part of this book is the theory on closes, and then there's over 100 written closes in here that you can use that are real world applicable and will eliminate you sounding like a broken record where you're repeating yourself over and over again. Number 9, always stay with the buyer and reduce the number of times you leave the buyer alone. Leaving the buyer to their own demises at this period of time is devastating. And there's so much that can go on during this period of time. They're stressed. Remember, this is a big purchase and they don't do this every day. You're the sales professional. You do this 2 or 3 times a day, maybe 4, 5 or 6 if you're the big hog in the store, right? But never leave your buyer alone. Always talk to them. Always be there to consult with the buyer. Always make sure all their questions are being answered. All the information is being provided. The minute you get up to leave is the minute they start coming up with other questions and doubt in their own mind that they're actually doing the right thing. But the reality is, most purchases that are bought today, people are doing 40 hours of research on that one piece, that one product or a service. And with the 40 hours of research, you have to realize that they've also researched the store that they're going to. And people aren't just hopping in their car in today's world when gas is $4 to $6 a gallon, and they're not just driving from store to window shop. They're going to a certain place to buy a product or a service as long as you provide it to them. And so the close should be as easy as the customer coming in, handing you their money, and you delivering the goods. And if you can always stay with the buyer during this period of time and make sure all their questions are answered and they have all the information they need to make a decision, maybe talk to them about something else besides the figures, because the money is a highly stressful area. And so maybe get their mind off that for a little bit. Maybe get them a refreshment. Maybe make sure they're well taken care of while your manager is at work, trying to get them the best deal that your store can provide to them. And number 10, always treat the prospect like a buyer. This is so important. You want to know how to be a millionaire? Treat everybody like they're a millionaire. And you should treat everybody who comes into your store, everybody you come in contact with, not even comes into your store, man, everybody in town. You're at the dry cleaner, you're at the car wash, you're at the grocery store, the convenience store, the gas station. All those people one day, and you don't know when, could potentially walk into your store. And so you want, as a sales professional, you want to be a good steward of the company that you work for. And by being a good steward, you're going to treat everybody as a potential buyer. And so treat everybody as a millionaire, as a potential buyer, and you'll never go wrong. People will remember you from town, and when they see you standing in the showroom, they'll walk right up to you. Hey, I think I remember you. Hey, you live in my town, don't you? And then there you go. You have instant rapport. And number 11, always know that you can come to an agreement. Always know that the customer is in front of you with all the research that they've done and the product they picked out. Went through the complete 10x sales process, Grant Cardone's perfect sales process. You followed all the correct steps. You've come down to the written proposal. You must know deep down that there will always be a way that you can come to an agreement. And that doesn't necessarily mean to negotiate on the price of what you're selling, but always find a way, get creative and find a way you can make it affordable or customize it to the buyer's needs. And number 12, always maintain a positive demeanor no matter what the response is from the buyer, or for that matter, from management. And so, salespeople, a lot of time we get it both ways. We get it from the people whose money we're playing with, and then we also get it from the customer who wants to have it, thinks it's Burger King in some cases, and wants to have it all their way. And somehow you're the middleman. You're the guy who needs to put this all together. So no matter what you do on both ends, just have a positive, be the brightest sales professional in your organization at all times, and always have a positive demeanor no matter what. And most of these comments that we hear from our customers, our potential customers, our buyers, these are nothing more than knee-jerk reactions. When something happens, when we're talking to them, something happens when we're demonstrating our product, or they're test driving it, or trying it out, they're laying on it, sleeping on it, sitting on it, playing with the recliner, whatever it is, these little negative comments that we think are negative comments they're throwing out, that is nothing more than memories from past experiences coming up. And most of those are bad financial decisions. So it's just a knee-jerk reaction. They're what Grant calls reactionary defense responses. Number 13, always smile, no matter the outcome, no matter the response, objection, or communication. Always smile. Always have a smile on your face, no matter what. Even when you're on my computer, on my screen, I always put a little piece of paper and I scotch tape it on there. And written on that piece of paper is the word smile. Because people can hear you smile without even looking in your eyes, without even looking at your face. They can hear the tone of your voice, and they can tell whether you're smiling or whether you're not. So it was always a good reminder to me, and still is to this day, when I'm on my computer and making my calls, that I'm always smiling. So no matter the outcome, the response, objection, or communication, always smile. Number 14, always treat the buyer like they can, because when you treat them like they can, they will. And people, the last thing they want to be treated as somebody who can't buy. And when we treat people like that, when we think, this guy's a stroke, this guy's a jack, oh gosh, she's just a waste of my time. When we have those thoughts running through our brain while we're engaged with the customer, they're going to feel that. They're going to catch that vibe from you, and they're going to ask you for your business card. And then they're going to go right down to the next place that's going to give them the attention they deserve. Keep in mind, again, if you sell big ticket items, the majority of the people are not going to buy the same day when they come into the store, even though that's 100% our ultimate goal and what we would love to see happen. The reality is it's just not going to happen. So if we treat everybody like gold, and we are always smiling, there's more chances than not, if they do leave and they need to come back to somewhere, they're going to come back to the place that provides them the best experience. Number 15, always acknowledge the buyer for any offer of communication they make. always acknowledge the buyer. Gosh, even if you're driving and something happens and you're on say on a test drive and the customer needs to reaches over to solve the problem, to make sure that you could safely drive on the road. Well, gosh, you thank the customer for that. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. Any communication, and especially when you're in negotiations, when you're in the close, no matter what the buyer thinks, a lot of times, and many times, customers, they see these TV ads of the national ad campaigns, and it lists every single rebate available. It lists all available discounts available. It lists everything and it breaks them down. So what does the consumer do? They add all those up and think that's what they're going to get off on the price of the car. In some cases, not everybody, but some. And so a lot of times they're going to throw an offer out there. And if you embarrass them by not acknowledging that offer, they'll lock up in their thinking, and then they won't budge on it. It's going to be very hard, extremely hard, for you to get any further communication on the pricing out of the customer. But if you do this, if they, in that same situation, if they throw out that offer, hey, gosh, Frank, hey, I really appreciate you making that offer. I know it's not easy, to make an offer like that. However, I've got it because bing, and bing, the price of the vehicle is this, or the price of the hot tub is this. And how would you like to pay for that? Would you like to pay cash, finance, or you do a combination of credit card, cash, or even taking out a small installment loan? And then, so if you just acknowledge them, it will allow you to move through and close on your deal. Number 16, always agree with the buyer and never disagree. This does not mean the buyer is always right. This just means that you're not going to be in a disagreement with the buyer. It's as simple as that. Always agree. Always agreeing will keep you from being like oil and your customer water. It will keep you guys from repelling. But if there's always a disagreement, and a lot of times these disagreements is usually over product knowledge and what the product can do, because they think they know everything about it because they've done all the research on it because they came into your store. So just don't worry about it. Hey, if you really have you're struggling with the right words to say to get yourself into agreement with the customer when they're wrong, is just say, hey, look, thanks for saying that. I could really agree and see the way that you're looking at it. Hey, thanks for saying that. I could truly see your point of view and why you say that. However, and then just go right back into closing your deal. So never always agree with the buyer and never disagree. There's an agreement. Two parties are engaged, a minimum of two parties. In order for an agreement to happen again, all it takes is for one person to agree with the other. Because if two people disagree, then you have disagreement. If one person disagrees and the other person agrees, there's no disagreement. Number 17, always look for a solution. Always look for a solution. The past few live streams, we've talked about how to maximize every sales opportunity. And, that will come down to it. When you have the right mindset and you know to look for deals, sales, opportunities to be able to service, to help a customer, to help a buyer, if you'll automatically always start looking for a solution. Number 18, care so much that you refuse not to close. Care so much for your consumers, for your potential customer. Care so much for the product or the service that you sell, and care so much that this will absolutely solve the problems that your potential customer is having. And so if you care, you need to care so much that you refuse to not close on your deal. Look, once again, your customer has done 40 plus hours of research before they even came into your store. It's what they want. Sell it to them and refuse to not close, especially if you know it's going to help them. Number 19, use the full arsenal of closes. Know these closes front and back. And when you when you start going through the Closer Survival Guide, when you start going through my complete sales mastery program and the 4 weeks of training where we're going through overcoming objections, get to know these and keep these all in your arsenal. Get the gun belt, get the holster, get the little back pea shooter, right? Get the little ankle gun, get the whole arsenal of these little closes. So when you run out of ammo with one, you can pull another. And what we don't want you to do is get stuck and start repeating yourself. Number 20, always know that you truly don't provide a service until you close the deal. And we've brought this up a couple times already, but know that you always know, just have this belief drilled so deep into you that you know that you truly do not provide a service until you close your potential client on your product or service. And once again, my name is Greg Nelson. This is Knox Day. We are a sales training, a sales coaching consulting company in the automotive sales management for almost a decade with the two different organizations I've worked for, three different organizations I've worked for. I've been in business for over 30 years, climbed two different ladders in two different industries. I've owned 4 different businesses. I've started my first business, my real first business when I was 13, taking on a newspaper delivery routes. And I had one massive one in the evening and one massive one in the morning. And so literally that was a 7-day-a-week operation. Did that until I could really officially enter the workplace. And then that's where my first industry, my first career started. But I could tell you a lot. And with Grant Cardone, in 2015, I really got on this program. If you heard me at the beginning of the performance here, it was about 10 years ago. I was an average sales performer. And about 10 years ago, I remember this one day in particular, I was walking into a sales meeting and while being handed my paycheck, I sat down in my chair, opened my paycheck, and my face turned bright red. I was thinking about my 2 kids and how I was going to keep the lights on. And then I heard it. Hey, Greg, our sales manager was calling me out to tell the entire department how many sales I had out for the month. More realistically, that I didn't have for the month. And so I was embarrassed. I was demotivated, and my performance for the rest of the weekend was absolutely shot. And so when I got home that night, walked through the front door, my wife told me our water had been turned off. And so it wasn't very much longer after that. I started talking to a coworker of mine who hadn't been in sales for nearly the years that I had. And he all of a sudden was having some success that some of us others were not having. So we were on a coffee break and I asked him, I said, hey, what are you doing, man? That's so different because all of a sudden you just shot up. And he says, hey, started listening to this audiobook. He was generous enough to give me that information. I got the audiobook. Didn't get that exact same one, but I did get one from the same author, and that was Grant Cardone. And this material, and then in 2015, I really took the deep dive with Grant. I personally signed up for Cardone University myself and held on to that for 2 years and did my daily training in the morning, followed Grant. I went to one of his Overcoming Objections webinars. And gosh, I remember it was shortly after that, my sales started really taking off. And by the end of 2015, I was one of the top producers in our store. 6 months later, I got promoted into management to teach and train the sales associates, the other sales associates that pretty much are, what had made me successful. And it was all Grant's material. But with that, the Complete Sales Mastery is on sale through January 31st. It's $1,000 off. It's normally $29.97. It's on sale right now for $19.97. I do not offer a standalone 4-month coaching package. You can either do a 3-month or you can do a 6-month. The 6-month coaching package is more money than this whole package combined. And it does not come with Cardone University. And so with Cardone University, you'll get access, 12 months access to over 800 courses. With that, you'll learn closing, prospecting, negotiating, phone skills. You'll learn how to get noise in the market. You'll learn so much content throughout the 12 months. And realistically, that 1997, that Cardone University itself, this 800 course program, should be $24.95. It really should, just that alone. But it's if you want to buy it individually, it's $9.97. However, again, I don't offer the 4-month standalone group training package, but you get both of these combined, the Cardone University and 16 individual weekly group training coaching sessions will cover material just like we covered tonight, except it's going to be out of Grant's 10X Sales Professional curriculum. And so you'll get a workbook each and every week for the material that we're covering. So you could really take the deep dive throughout the rest of the week until we meet again the following week. And you can implement all this material as soon as you get it. As soon as you gain an understanding of what you're either viewing on a video or what you're participating in and sitting in during the live training, then you'll be well on your road to success. In the live training, it's a 45-minute session. And I always like to set 10 to 15 minutes aside at the end to make sure all your questions are answered, make sure that you have a quality understanding of the information that we went over, and also make sure that, hey, maybe you're running into a situation where you work, and maybe you're not in the sales industry, but you want to make that jump over to the sales industry, and you're going through the complete sales mastery program to make sure that when you do leave, that you'll automatically be a success when you start selling whatever product line it is that you're selling. And so, but with that, 90 days into this, within 90 days of you going through this, you're going to start seeing results that you've never seen. This material is just that powerful. You'll start practicing this over and over again. You'll start, it's almost going to become like it's a muscle memory for you. And that's what the repetition, that's how we try to gain perfection, is through repetition and practice. But going through this after 90 days, you'll set your sights higher than what you've ever set them before. You'll see that top performer. You'll see that number one position in your store, your showroom, or your office. And if you want to try to budget this out throughout the whole year, it's $5.47 per day. And so that's a small price to pay. Go to thehardknocksday.com, scroll to the bottom of the website, the bottom right-hand corner of my product page, and click on the Complete Sales Mastery. Add it to the cart. We take all major credit cards. And then with that, we'll contact in 4 hours, get your Cardone, finish setting up your Cardone University, and also to give you the key or the invite, the link to the weekly group coaching. And again, my name is Greg. This has been Closing to Survive, or the Closer Survival Guide is the material that we're practicing. I forgot what I named this video, this live stream, but learn to close, learn this selling material because you deserve it. With us, the United States supposedly being the richest country in the nation, 76% of us are still living paycheck to paycheck. And most of us have no control over our financial future. We go to work, we make an hourly wage, and we come home. And then we, sit and we think about only if situations, or wouldn't it be nice if, wouldn't it be nice if we can go to the new IMAX theater and watch the new 3D movie? Can't do that. The money's not there. What if you wanted to do all these little things? Huh? I mean, everything that you say, what if, or wouldn't it be nice? Well, if you just had the money to go do it. I mean, the reality is whatever it is you're doing, you're exchanging your hard-earned bodily work. You're exchanging your labor for dollars, and there's a cap on that. In sales, there's no limit to the money that you can make. And so go back through and watch some of my live streams if you can catch me on YouTube, Greg Nelson at the Hard Knock State. And I broke it down, what you make, making $16 an hour on 40 hours a week, and what you could make just by selling 2 or 3 units of whatever it is on average. I think I used a couch as an analogy per month, and it's mind blowing. And once you get extremely good at this and you start ramping up those units in addition to what you've been selling now, that's when a true lifestyle change happens. And so again, one more time, it's the complete sales mastery. It's thehardknockstate.com. 1997, 12-month access to over 800 courses on Cardone University, plus 4 months, 16 weekly virtual live group training sessions. It's done over Zoom. We all sit in a group together. I'll go through the material just like we went through tonight. 45 minutes later, or however long, we'll leave 10, 15 minutes set aside for us to get your questions answered. Make sure you understand the material and that you can implement it the very next day. Well, thank you again for joining me this evening. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at 360-615-2070. That's our office and sales department at the Hard Knock State. That's 360-615-2070. You can hit us up on our website chat. You can scroll to the complete bottom and hit the contact us now button and send us an email. But we do offer a free 15-minute sales strategy session. Maybe you got some quick questions you want answered and you need to overcome a quick roadblock and get pointed in the right direction. We can help you with that. So 360-615-2070. Thank you again.